Hello and welcome back to Parc Fermé Parlay with Kieran Downey, predictions edition for the Spanish Grand Prix. The final race week of this triple header. We're off to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix and what I actually think is our last time coming to this track, because I think it gets straight swapped out next year for that the Mad Ring, as it's actually called, that weird mental hybrid track street circuit in Madrid, which after watching that simulation, I'm just not convinced that we're going to get anything better than what Barcelona can provide, to be honest with you. I know that it's that whole thing of accessibility and all this kind of stuff and the vibrancy of it being within a city and everything. But actually the Barcelona circuit's not that difficult to get to. The atmosphere is usually pretty decent. And what I will say is if we're going based on racing, I'm not sure this new Madrid circuit will provide us with what they think. Like after watching that ridiculous simulation that we got given a few weeks ago, it didn't fill me with hope, to be honest. It filled me more with doubt when I was watching that simulation, apart from the fact that it was a terrible simulation of a driver going through that track. Why they ever decided to release that is beyond me. Surely they would have used a simulation of like a perfect lap around this new track, not one where the driver's skidding about and almost crashing, which is, I think, something that we might get a lot of at that new circuit. I didn't really see a lot of opportunity for close racing, overtaking, or anything that we're sort of lacking at the moment in Formula One. What I seen was a lot of opportunities to crash, especially coming out of that really long straight, which I'm assuming will be like one of the new active aero zones, into a very heavy braking chicane into a tunnel where the simulation almost crashed. That doesn't look like it's going to be... do you know what that looks like? Track limits. Track limits, corner cutting. That is what that's given me. Track limits, corner cutting, crashing. These like new circuits that they're building for Formula One, this Mad Ring in Madrid and that absolute monstrosity in Saudi Arabia, not really filling me for much hope. Oh fuck, who knows, eh? I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, on to our predictions, and I was kind of thinking about who I would put for my predictions, and I kind of realised that it's quite difficult to predict people other than the two McLaren drivers and the Red Bull for the top positions, because that's all we're really getting. And I didn't have this podcast and I didn't really do predictions or anything in 2023, but I imagine this is kind of how it feels, because every time when I'm like, right, pole, that's all I can think of is those three people. And I just kind of feel like I cycle through them a little bit. So for pole position, I've gone Max Verstappen. Now I actually feel like I've got good reason to go for Max here, purely based on the performance he had in Imola, where the man was on fire. Like, he was absolutely on rails. And I think the characteristics of the Barcelona circuit are fairly similar to Imola. It's fast, it's flowy, it's technical, it's an old school driver circuit, and these are all characteristics of a track that Verstappen absolutely loves. And that's where he thrives. There's also a lot of talk from Red Bull of Barcelona almost being like a turning point for this car. We've got the new technical directive coming in. McLaren say it's not really going to hamper them because their car's perfectly legal, so there's no issues there. I mean, the proof of that will come this weekend. But Red Bull are very confident that this weekend will be the turning point and that they will be able to challenge the McLarens a lot better. Whether that be through some big upgrades or something that they're bringing to the car this weekend, I don't know. I haven't seen the official documentation of any upgrades yet. It's not been released. Whether that is because of the new technical directive that McLaren say aren't going to hurt them, I don't know. But Red Bull are confident. Verstappen's a great driver and that track suits him. So I'm thinking it's a Verstappen pole position. I feel like that makes sense in my mind. Now for P3 in the race, and this is where I'm going a little bit off piste. Just a little bit. Just a bit. I'm going Alex Albon. I think it's coming this year at some point. Podium for Alex, for Williams. I think Carlos will get a podium as well. Wait a minute, did I not put Carlos for the podium in Monaco? I did, it didn't work out. However, if I'm thinking that Spain will be a good track for Max with the similarities that it has to Imola, I'm going to apply that same thinking to Albon. Because Albon very, very nearly got a podium in Imola. Came very close to it. And his performance was stellar. The track characteristics are similar. I think it's very much within the realms of possibility that we see an Alex Albon podium. I think every weekend we're getting closer and closer to that. They're just sort of edging their way up. And I definitely see a podium on the cards for Albon at some point. And I'm going to start from now. I think it could be Spain. And I'm going to put all my blue chips down. Is that how gambling works? I don't know, I don't gamble. But I'm going to put it all on Albon getting a P3 this weekend. I think that could happen. 100%. Now for P2 in the race, I've gone George Russell. It's time to get him back in that top 5. I'm not enjoying Russell not being in the top 5 these past 2 races. I did not enjoy Mercedes not scoring points last week. I'm not a big Mercedes stan or Mercedes fanboy. It really annoyed me last weekend. I was really pissed off by the performance of Mercedes last weekend. The whole Toto Wolff coming out and saying they actually forgot the 2-stop strategy was a thing. What do you mean you forgot? It's all we spoke about for the whole weekend. It's all we spoke about for months before the race. What are you on about, you forgot? It really pissed me off, and I think it probably has really pissed the drivers off. And I reckon that after that performance last weekend, and him finishing 7th in Imola, I think that man's coming with a fire in his belly this weekend, with a renewed sense of, let's get this fucking done. And he's going to absolutely send it. And I think we could see him P2 on the podium. Definitely, 100%. 100p. Now for the race win, P1 for the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm going Max Verstappen. I'm playing it a little bit safe. I think my other 2 are a bit ambitious. I'm playing it safe with Max, right? I have to have at least one podium place that I could potentially get that I think is very realistic. The others are hopes and dreams. This, I think, is probably more a matter of a fact that I think this is 100% on the cards. I think all I have to say is the reasoning I had for putting him on pole is the reason I have for the race win. He's also won, I think it's the past 4 Spanish Grand Prix, or is it the past 3? Sorry, it's actually 3. He's won it a total of 4 times. Since 2016, the Spanish GP has only been won by either Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen in 2016, Lewis Hamilton from 2017 till 2021, and then Verstappen from 2022 to 2024. I reckon Verstappen's going to make it a 5th. As I said, everything that I said for him getting pole, copy, paste, and just look at the race performance that he had in Imola. Absolutely on fire. Max Verstappen wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Now, for my other predictions, I'm playing a little bit safe, so don't at me, all right? My first one, everyone will finish the Spanish Grand Prix. We had a pretty crazy weekend last weekend with crashes and broken cars and retirements and reliability issues, all this kind of stuff. I think for the final race of this triple header, all 20 drivers finish the race. I think it goes back to being, I think all 20 drivers will be clean for this one. My next prediction is that we get a bit of a banger in terms of the race. And I say that because we all sit and talk about how, you can't overtake in Imola. The track's too narrow, the cars are too big, and we got great overtaking. I loved watching the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The overtaking was class. It wasn't massive amounts, but we got good battles. We got good on-track action. Then we had Monaco. That's an outlier. Doesn't mean anything. Coming into Barcelona, again, we all talk about how narrow the track is. You can't do any overtaking. The cars are too big. Even though they took that final chicane out, you still can't get any overtaking done. What I will say, I think Barcelona is going to pull an Imola on us. I think it'll pull an Imola on us and we'll get some brilliant racing out there this weekend. I think the field is pretty close. There'll be no backing anyone else up. I think we will get some good on-track racing as a bit of a refresh from the bit of nonsense that we've just witnessed in Monaco. I think the top and tail of this triple header will be class. I'm not going as far to say as bangers. I will take my statement of banger back. But I think we're going to get some good on-track action. I think we will be surprised when we come and sit here for our race review of how good the Spanish GP was, because for the past few years it's been a bit lackluster. But I'm ready for a decent race. I think Monaco starved me a little bit of it. So I'm ready for a good race, and I'm thinking Barcelona will pull an Imola on us. And finally, Fernando Alonso scores points at his home race. I'm sorry, I said I will predict every weekend that Fernando Alonso will score points until he starts scoring bloody points. It's actually wild to me that we are on our 9th race weekend and Alonso still is on 0 points. He is literally one of 4 drivers currently on 0 points in the championship. Those being Gabriel Bortoleto, who's driving a wheelie bin, Franco Colapinto, who's about to do his 3rd race weekend, and Jack Doohan, who doesn't race anymore. Tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't. Listen, I said it last week when I said that he would score points. The upgrades that they have brought to that car are working because the car is fucking fast. He was so on track for scoring points last week, and the reliability of the car screwed him over. And listen, I know that we are at the end of a triple header, and usually when there's an issue happening throughout a triple header, it tends to plague the driver and that car throughout the rest of it. Listen, it's his home race. It's his home race. I just need a good result for him. I need a good result for him. And how better to get a good result than by scoring your first points of the year. Correct. So Fernando Alonso will score points at his home race in Barcelona. Listen, I don't know what we need to do to get Fernando Alonso to score points, right? I actually don't at this rate. But if it's touching wood, witchcraft, smoke signals, going to church and praying, voodoo on the other drivers, I don't know, but I will do what needs to be done to get that man points. But that is everything from us for our predictions for the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix. Let us know your predictions in the comments down below. We'll see you after the qualifying session. Enjoy the rest of your day. I love you. Bye.